when you started working for Clearwater County in 1985, I think the population then was really close to 7,000.
Actually, in 1985, I believe it was more like 3,700.
Oh, that okay. Maybe I was thinking regional, a little more regional then.
Sorry, you said Clearwater County?
Yeah.
I meant Town of Rocky.
Okay.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I think it was around 7,000. And
Yep.
we're right around 11,000 now.
Correct.
So over that time, we've had technology changes, vehicles change.
Yes.
What are some of the needs of the residents that residents have that they want the county to supply or support? Have those changed over those years?
Yes, but I think with technology, expectations also changed. Today, our staff really don't leave work anymore with email and texting and quite frankly, really going to show my gray hair, cell phones. When I started here in 1985, we didn't have those communication tools. You showed up for work and you went to work and you did your job and you got back into the shop and you were done for the day and you went home. With technology, you're available 24/7. And whether it's email or texting, all of this brings it right into your living room. And it's changed the way we work and expectation, response time. Back in 1985, people well understood, like 8 to 5:30 was our workday. They were 9-hour days. And when you went home, there wasn't the expectation that, you know what, I can get a hold of you at 9 o'clock at night. And now they do. We never lost that core. We were a small community then, and everybody knew who worked here, and chances are a neighbor phoned you. but now it's quite easy to reach out and get you at any given time. And truly, with the quality of staff, we're privileged here. The response is amazing. I can reach out and get a construction foreman at 9 o'clock at night, and I guarantee I'll get an answer because it's who they are and how dedicated they are, which only adds to the community, in my opinion. So that really has changed. The influx of computers. Again, when I started here in 1985, we were working off of memos, work orders that were handwritten. And now trying to migrate in and all that historical data and create an electronic version so we have a different filing system here with computers, really, I saw a large shift. And again, I talked about provincial expectations and requirements. When I started here, we could build a bridge in 6 weeks. And now it takes 2 years to get the permits to build that bridge. That requirement all equates to dollars. It's over $100,000 to get the permits. In 1985, it was $100,000 to build the bridge, and I seen that migration. As environment ramped up, I seen Alberta Environment come in, and in the mid-90s, they had a 10-day code of practice. So the rules were there, but in the province of Alberta said, you know what, in 10 days, you're going to get a response from us. Whether it's your data isn't good enough, try harder, or here's your permit. And now it's 2 years for a response. So our planning has to be far more proactive when we're building a road and it involves a bridge structure, and now we have to bump that paving 2 years down the road because that has to complement the bridge because we know it's 2 years out. In 1980s and 90s, there was no such thing as the Migratory Bird Act, and now we're dealing with that. We've seen the influx of fish window as well. So Class A water body dictates when you can work in that stream versus when you can't. So those requirements have really changed how we are able to do our work.
Right. My role as an economic development officer and looking at where the county has been and where it's going, I've seen the economy has changed over the years. Like what was back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, predominantly probably an agriculture and strong forestry, very strong forestry employment at that time. And then throughout the 80s, oil and gas really grew, sort of took over as the main job provider for everybody. And we've had recent growth in tourism, which it has always been there, but it's really starting to grow now rather than just being in the background. What are some of the opportunities that you see in Clearwater County, both for residents or businesses or anybody that is looking to come here?
Honestly, exponential. Clearwater County Council has had the foresight to work with the province on what we've termed as our development nodes out west. And this council's still active in trying to see that through to fruition. Jerry, you spoke of Nordegg. Nordegg was only 20% of the overall plan. And a lot of people don't recognize that. Back in the early 90s, when the province gave Clearwater County Nordegg, that was 20% of what was supposed to be the gift. Nordegg was always intended to be the service hub for the other development nodes. The importance of those development nodes was the opportunity for investors to come in and build resorts, hotels, tourism attraction areas on private land located out in the West Country, and Nordegg would be the service center for those nodes. We're still working with the province on getting those other 4 nodes. And you look at what is happening in Nordegg itself, recognizing that was only 20% of the plan. The success Nordegg is inspiring. And it's based on those other industries that you spoke of. That's tourism in a nutshell. But I still am excited to see what Nordegg would look like with those other nodes in place. And we're actively working with the province on that. I think even oil and gas, you'd have to be semi-deaf not to recognize where oil and gas is going and the initiatives they're taking as an industry. They're recognizing that, fossil fuels are extremely important, but in an environmentally friendly way. And the initiatives our oil and gas industry are going through as well, I think create different job opportunities within Clearwater County. As a farmer, I know my efforts and how I contribute to Clearwater County, but I also know as a farmer, my taxes don't pay for the services that I'm privileged with. Over 90% is oil and gas revenue. I happen to live off a paved road. So one side of my quarter section, half mile, is paved. The other side of my quarter section is a gravel road. And I look at the cost just for pavement is over $1 million a mile. Well, that half mile outside of my farm, I don't come close to paying for that, let alone the solid waste services that I'm privileged with, the maintenance that I see, the library boards, and all those other services that Clearwater County is active in. I know I don't come close to that. That's industry. That is our forestry, our oil and gas, and the resources. You talked about the diversity of our roads and the geographic location. Red Deer River access down south. Our tax-paying residents that use that road is nominal. That could be listed as a resource road. The logging, the oil and gas, tourism down there, going to Yaha-Tinda, to me, those roads are a primary example. And I can list them: Hummingbird, Peppers, Blackstone, all those roads. As far as a tax base is nominal. But when you start adding industry, quite frankly, Sunchild Road. Our Sunchild Road, we're fortunate enough to see it paved now because it links into Brazeau County, which joins directly into Highway 621 through that municipality. But that's a resource road. As far as deeded land out there, it's negligible. We are predominantly, as a municipality, looking at resources to pay for a lot of those amenities. But the growth here, because of the diversity, I think speaks in our favor. A lot of comparisons is Lacombe County, Red Deer County, that's right off of Highway 2. I believe there's a lot of attraction in our area because we're not on Highway 2, and people look to get out of those busy corridors. And the attraction that Clearwater County has with the vista we have, other municipalities don't offer. And with that, I would add the people. we have a very welcoming community that, although we're growing, still has that small town welcoming environment that when I come in to Caroline to do a little shopping, to Rocky Mountain House, it's home, and that's a strong statement for many that have had the privilege of raising their kids here, and the quality of our school system. We have Wild Rose school system here, and the teachers that taught my children, that my children still hold in regard as mentors, is huge. We talk about Clearwater County. One of the directors of Public Works, Mr. Kurt Magnus, taught all my kids science.
Oh.
And now he's working here at Clearwater County with me. And when my kids stop in and see me, and it's still Mr. Magnus, that's community, and we offer that. And I think that's a testament. For me, when I see the Clearwater County logo, that's what I see. That's what it represents for me. It's home, and the people here are home.
And I think we've actually, over the last couple of years, we've had more people discovering they want the community feel. They don't want the busyness of the city. They don't want the complexity of the city.
I agree, Jerry. When you come to Clearwater County and you go out west, people go out west for a reason, and they come back for a reason. And it's that experience. I think when they go into even Nordig to pick up a few groceries, and the people there, the warmness, the friendliness. If you've ever had the opportunity to attend one of Nordig's pancake breakfasts, I equate it no different, honestly, than when Co-op holds theirs. And the people that gather around Rainbow Ford when they hold their fundraising, it draws everybody out and brings everybody together. And that's when you see who we are and what we are. And I need to qualify. When I say Clearwater County, that's kind of my go-to and my bias. But the village of Caroline and the town of Rocky Mountain House, the people of this community, and I include them in those statements, it's that welcoming and that friendly. And for our visitors that come through there, there's a reason that Nordig's grown, and it's because of the people in this community. People that have come out and visited Nordig, there's a reason they buy in Nordig, or they buy in Rocky Mountain House, and they buy in Caroline. It's more than just a house, because quite frankly, Alberta's large enough you can buy a house anywhere. But it is community that brings them, and what brings them forward. It's that atmosphere. I see many, many opportunities in Clearwater County, and it goes from resources, tourism-based, to new innovations, because our population is extremely intelligent, and I can't even think of what they're going to think of. The innovation's inspiring, so it's endless.
We have a lot of homegrown companies here that have adapted to the change over the years, and
very much.
We're fortunate they employ a lot of people, and they continue to employ people.
Absolutely, Jerry. We've seen back in the 80s people manufacturing log houses and pre-building them and selling them stick by stick, to climate change friendly green initiatives for solar panels, to totally off-grid homes, to our farms, where they're looking at how we do things and how we manage the land, more environmentally friendly ways, and right down to public works, how we manage our road system, and coming up with salt management plans, and identifying environmentally sensitive areas where, maybe we don't sand and salt those areas because it's too close to a fish-bearing stream, and there's other ways to mitigate the ice where we don't have those impacts, and all of that creates new community in how we do things.
So, this is an all general wrap-up question. Is there anything that you would like the residents of Clearwater County to really know about the Clearwater County, the organization?
You know what? That's difficult because it is so large and so diverse. When I spoke earlier that we're public servants, that's not a small statement. We are integrated into the community as a whole, and the services we provide go beyond roads. You look at our ag department and the services they provide, and I really need to plug that. You know, the service that Clearwater County brings, that our ag department brings, to me is a model for most. I know other ag departments in Alberta, you'll get a weed notice, for example. And I'll go into that local municipality and say, okay, I got this weed notice. What do I do with it? Well, that is your problem. And legislation says you need to take care of your weeds. I go into our ag department and say, you know what? I got this weed notice and, I've got a baler at my disposal. I got a rake, I got a cutter, but I have nothing to take care of these weeds. You know what? We'll rent you one because we want to help. We'll sell you the chemical. We have experts, Marty Winchell, Rocky Williams. Talk to these individuals and they will help you and come out to your property and look at the weeds and actually guide you in what chemical will work the best and give you the best probability of kill and when to do it. That's public service, and that's how Clearwater County integrates into the community. When we partner with the town of Rocky Mountain House, and trust me, those partnerships are so valuable. We partner in recreation with the town of Rocky. Our citizens come in and use those facilities and walk in and don't even think about, gee, I'm a Clearwater County resident and this isn't a Clearwater County facility, but I have open access. And I think that's such a positive statement to the relationship our two municipalities have that our citizens don't even have to think about it.
Right.
No different than the village of Caroline. And when your kids play hockey and they just walk in and they're able to do that, that's through the partnerships and how we're integrated into the community. As important as our road system is, it's so much more. Pretty much social services, FCSS, all those partnerships, our seniors lodge, Westview Lodge in the town of Rocky, all of it, Jerry. This municipality has been a part of my life, both private and professional, throughout my life, because my kids have enjoyed those services. There isn't a part. And it gets hard to wrap your head around because it's that integrated. So it's not a small conversation.
Yeah. If we were to do a list of all the services provided through us or that we partnered with, ranging from regional fire and highway patrol, county patrol, to the...
Well, just that, Jerry, if I may, and I don't want to take time here, but when I started here in 1985, we had DOT. The province provided road enforcement, and we seen them out there at check stops. And then we started seeing the province download that and say, you know what, we're going to put less enforcement. So then municipalities said, well, we have a lot of infrastructure here, and it's expensive infrastructure, and we need to maintain it. So we hired one CPO, one special constable, and back in the day, that was Don Marshall. He was our first and only county cop. And then we seen even more downloading. And now we have 3 CPOs and a manager, 4. And honestly, it gets to defining service. I'll tell you, we could keep a dozen busy because protecting our infrastructure validates that. But what level of enforcement does Clearwater County want, and what does that look like? So we have a very active emergency services department. Regional fire, we talked about the volunteerism. Our paid on-call firefighters, integral to this community. Those individuals that step up and take time away from their families to support community is what protects my farm and my home. You're right. We can speak all day long. Clearwater County, because we are public servants, we are integrated into the public. A lot of people look inside these walls and go, well, that's Clearwater County. we are part of community. Our staff is community. We are part of community. You, your wife, your children, Jurjitsa, her husband, who happens to be in oil and gas, and their child. We are part of community. It's personal to us. And I believe that that's what's represented inside these walls, is that level of passion and devotion, because we are community.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you taking the time.
My pleasure.
Is there anything else you'd just like to add to this conversation at the end?
When I retire, I look forward to watching Clearwater County and how they continue. And I am not worried about it because of the people in these walls. And I guess I just wouldn't mind just taking the opportunity to not only thank staff for their dedication and what they bring to the table, Jerry, from the bottom of my heart, but also thanking our community as a whole and council, because we couldn't do it without them as well. So it's going to be exciting.
Well, great. Thank you for taking the time to speak with us, and we'll see. There might be more questions coming from the video that we may need to meet over again.
Look forward to it. Thank you.